Okay, so we all know each other. I'm Kathy McNamara. The title of my message today is What's in Your Glass? So I have a glass here. Can anybody give me any observations about this glass?
It's half full and it's half empty.
It's half full and it's half empty. Both of those are correct. But I prefer to think of something I learned from Mary Morrissey, beloved New Thought teacher and author. Many years ago she was giving a talk and she said her grandson looked at the glass and said, but it's refillable. So rather than be the it's half full optimist or it's half empty pessimist, I'm going to say it's refillable.
That's cool.
So the optimist says it's half full. I acknowledge all the things I have in my life, right? The pessimist says it's half empty. There's more things I want.
Yeah.
The realist says I can fill it with whatever I want, when I want, because it's there. But that's not what I'm going to talk about today. What I'm going to talk about today is, how heavy is this glass?
Not heavy, you can lift it.
I can lift it. It really doesn't seem heavy now. And if I want to make it where I can carry it a lot, I can just hold it right here and support it, right? And I could probably walk around all day long with this glass where I'm holding it right now.
Center.
Yeah, I've got support for it. If I hold it out here, it's not too bad, right? But if I try and carry this glass like this all day long, it's going to get a little bit heavy, isn't it?
Yes.
So this kind of represents what we carry with us in our lives and where we carry it. If we don't have a whole lot and we keep it close, we're able to carry it pretty well, right? Sometimes we carry it out here because we're busy, and sometimes we've got to hold it way out here because of what it's affecting us. So what are some of the things that we carry with us all day long?
Guilt.
Guilt. Okay, water's displaced a little bit.
Responsibility.
Responsibility. Getting a little heavier. What else? Anger. Good one, Diana. What else? What kind of worries or stress do we have?
Distrust.
Distrust.
Disappointment.
Disappointment. How about health issues?
Uh-huh.
How about financial issues?
Yeah.
How about worrying about our kids, even if they're grown and on their own?
Yeah.
How about relationships? Wow, this thing's getting a little heavier. And the more I carry it out here, the heavier it gets, right? So one of the things we have to remember is that these are all things and all stressors that we put, but who put these things in my glass?
We did. Yeah.
I did. I didn't ask you guys to throw anything in my glass. India didn't put anything in my glass. Everything I carry with me all day long, I put there myself, which means I should have the same capacity to remove those things and move on with my life. Now, I could stand up here and give you all these great ideas. I'm not brilliant, believe me, by any stretch, although I tell my family I'm brilliant all the time. But I'm not brilliant when it comes to how I can tell you to get rid of these things. But I can give you some tips and some tools to use to help get through these things, these areas of responsibility and guilt and blame and everything else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to empty this for a second here. Because all the tips that I'm going to use are right here. Now, Carol and Diana were at my home not that long ago, and they saw in my bathroom, I have a big tray that has a lot of rocks, and they're all face down. And I think I counted at last 48 or 50 rocks that I have. And all of the rocks have something written on them. So the first rock that I've got that I'm pulling out today to help us with how we handle this is listen. It's a rock that I need to look at a lot. Because I hear things that go on around me, but I don't always listen. And listening actively is a skill. And it's something that we should really, really think about, is listening. And the thing that I think most about with the word listen is listening to the still small voice within, that divine communication that is going on all the time. Whether we acknowledge it, whether we hear it, whether we do anything about it, there is a divine communication, and it's that still small voice that we should listen to. There's an author, William Dean Howells, who wrote this. It is the still small voice that the soul heeds, not the deafening blasts of doom. I love that. I love that saying, the deafening blast of doom. Anybody connect to that term, deafening blast of doom? First thing that comes to mind for me is if we're channel surfing on TV and we hit a news channel. First thing I hear is the deafening blast of doom. We don't watch the news in our house because there's nothing worth listening to. You know, it just tries to incite you into thinking one way or another instead of just staying true to yourself. I can find out what's going on in the world in other ways than just listening to someone talking to me on a news channel. But listening actively, listening to what's being said to you before you form what your reply is going to be. And you ever do that? I know I'm very guilty about that. Somebody will recite something or be telling me something and it's like, oh, I'm going to tell them how I fix that for them. But I don't even hear what the problem is because I didn't listen to it. I was so into my ego on what I could do that I didn't listen to what they had to say, what their feelings were, what their emotions were. So listening is important. The next thing is courage. Now, courage means a lot of things. You know, we just celebrated Memorial Day, and courage, when you think of Memorial Day, is the bravery of those people who laid their lives down for our country. But we each exhibit a great deal of courage on a daily basis. Courage for me, when I'm talking about this, and I'm talking about how heavy this glass can be, if I'm holding it out, courage is asking India, can you help me out here? Can you give me a hand and just help me? Help me. This is more than I can handle right now. Thank you. It takes a lot of courage to ask for help. One of the first complete sentences I ever uttered as a child at the age of 3.5 or 4 was, I do it myself. Because I was raised in a family where you became very self-sufficient very quickly, and unfortunately, and Connie will attest to this, I do it myself gets me more in trouble with her than anything else because she'll stop and say, why don't you just ask me for help?
Oh, I know that story.
Yeah, I mean, we become so intent on I can do this, that we don't have the courage to stop and say, I can, but boy, wouldn't it be a lot easier if I just asked India to, hey, give me a hand with this, because this is going to get heavy. And if I hold it out here all day long and I've got all these things in it, it gets heavier and heavier. But we've got to learn to stop and ask for help. I asked India for help, but the first place we should always go for help is divine help. God, I need some assistance to get through this task. Get me through this. Mark Twain said, courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not the absence of fear. Now, in Unity, in any New Thought church, the opposite of fear is faith. Fear is not an unhealthy thing to have around. Some fear is very good. If I wanted to get out here and walk over to the Embassy Suites, and I decided to go up the ramp and across the freeway, I might have a fear of getting clobbered, right? I'll go up to a hot stove and I know that the handle of the pan is hot. I'm afraid if I touch it without a pot holder. So some fear is healthy to have. But the fear that we should grasp and that we should hold on to is the fear that keeps us healthy, that keeps us conscious, not the fear that is irrational. And we all go through irrational fear all the time, right? Oh, I don't know, is that a pimple or is it a tumor? You know, now that's an extreme, but you can relate to, there are things that we think about in lives, you know, worrying about things. There's the old adage, if you can fix it, why are you going to worry about it? Just take action and fix it. If it's something you can't fix, why are you worrying about it? Because your worrying is not going to get you anywhere. So courage is one of the things, and we do courageous things every day. For some people, courage is just getting out of bed in the morning because it's a rough thing to get through. Courage to go on in life. Linda lost Theron recently. Courage to get up and move every day without that loving partner. Courage to go every day with the loving partner and make sure that things are going well for everybody. We have courage in our lives and we have courageous steps we take. We don't think of it as being brave or being courageous. But if you think about it, It really is. There are really things we do that we step out in courage. Now the next rock I have is believe. Believe. We have got to know that we have beliefs that we stand by. We've got to know that we have beliefs that are important to us. And we've got to learn to believe in ourselves. First and foremost, believe in God. Believe in that there is something bigger than you, whether you call it God or the universe or Buddha, Allah. It doesn't matter what you call that higher power. There is something greater than us that we live within, that lives within us. There is this interconnectivity, this synchronicity. I love the term divine synchronicity. And it's there, and it's always there, and we have to believe in that higher power, and we have to believe in ourselves and in what we can do. We have beliefs. I believe in God, I believe in love, I believe in my family. I do believe in myself. Sometimes that belief is a little wavering, right? Sometimes it's a little iffy, where I feel like we're on a slippery slope. But the belief must be there. It's important to always have those beliefs. Eric Butterworth, who is one of my absolute favorite authors in Unity, in any New Thought, Eric Butterworth said this: the greatest mistake is in believing that we're only human. We are human in expression, but divine in creation and limitless in potentiality. Limitless in potentiality. We can do anything we set our minds to. I could be a neurosurgeon. At the age of 71, it's a little late to start, but if I really wanted to be a neurosurgeon, I could go back to school, I could get my degree. I know I could be a neurosurgeon. I wouldn't want to be the patient. By the time I get there, I'd have a pretty shaky hand. But I know that I could be a neurosurgeon. I know I can do anything I put my mind to, because I do believe that I'm a human expression, but divine in creation. And it's hard for us to remember that. I think that's one of the biggest things as human beings that we have trouble grasping and acknowledging, is that we are divine. You know, I get up and I get out of the shower and I think, wow, I wanted to lose 5 pounds this week, and I look in the mirror and I go, kind of hard to think I'm divine at that point, right? Kind of hard to think I'm divine if I'm playing my guitar and I hit that wrong chord and it's this horrible tone. It's kind of hard to think I'm divine when I snap at Connie or Megan or at somebody because I didn't think before I opened my mouth. It's kind of hard to think I'm divine when I'm doing that, because that's when the human part of that expression comes out. But when I take a minute to stop and listen to the still small voice, when I have the courage to acknowledge I made a mistake, and I need to believe that I am divine. So belief is really something that's so important. Now the next rock, you brought this up to a certain extent, trust. We need to learn to trust. We need to trust ourselves. You know, it's very easy to say, I trust Connie, I trust Megan, I trust you. It's kind of hard to trust other people sometimes. I worked with a woman one time who said to me, you have to earn my trust. We're going to have a good relationship, you're going to have to earn my trust. And I felt, I don't know, kind of icky when she said that. I knew my job, I got hired to do the job. I've been doing it for years. You have to earn my trust. So when I became a supervisor, I knew that that was not something I could ever tell my employees. I told my staff, I'm going to trust you until such time as you give me reason not to. I trust you came into this job knowing what you're doing. I trust that you will do the job well. I trust that you'll abide by all the things we've put together as a group. I trust that if you need help, you'll come to me. And if you breach that trust, well, then we'll have to have a different kind of conversation. But I'm going to trust you until you give me reason not to. And that's a far better way to approach things, don't you? You've got to earn my trust. What a negative statement. And what's the one thing we always try and do in unity in any type of New Thought church? We affirm and we're positive. So I prefer to do it from that way. Now, I see that Carol's wearing a basketball shirt today. I was never much in basketball, maybe because I'm 5 feet tall. But Michael Jordan, somebody who I know I would always look up to, said this: to achieve greatness, you must trust the process and have unwavering belief in your abilities. You must trust the process. Isn't that what we always say? Trust the process. And life is a process. Affirmative prayer is a process. Everything we do is a process. And we have to trust that the process is there for a purpose, for a reason, and trust that it will be there and we can go through with that. We're going to listen to the still small voice. We're going to have the courage to step forward and know that we're doing the right things. We're going to have belief in our abilities. We're going to trust the process. Because the process works. We just have to make sure that we put it in place all the time. To trust the process, because it will work. And then the last rock, this is my wife Connie's favorite word. And we have it all over the house at Christmas time on different plaques. Probably have it on ornaments. Anybody know what it is?
Love.
No? Joy.
Joy.
I think if we ever have another animal, we should name it Joy. I don't know why we've never done this before. Joy. Now, we've talked about the different things as human beings that we go through. There have been times where we have had to carry a very heavy burden for a long time. For some of us, maybe years, we've had to carry a burden, whether it's caring for a protracted illness with a loved one, and that weight gets heavier and heavier. Sometimes it's grieving the loss. Sometimes it's being stuck where we can't move forward. So we carry that burden. But I will guarantee you, in each of those times, even if it's protracted for years, we've been able to find joy somewhere along the way. I guarantee that we can find joy. Last year was kind of traumatic for us because we lost two of Connie's sisters about 4 months apart. And it was very traumatic. But even during that period of time, we could sit out on the porch together and have coffee, and it would be so still. And the only thing you could hear was the song of the birds and maybe a slight breeze blowing the wind chimes in the garden. That brought us joy. And it doesn't have to be, oh my God, I just won the lottery kind of joy. I don't know what that joy is, but that's okay. But joy comes in many different forms. I'll talk to Sadie in the morning and I'll say, Sadie, you want to go to church? And her ears perk up and she does that little head bob. That brings me joy. Years ago there was a YouTube video of a little baby, I think it was a little girl, sitting on the sofa, and her daddy would take a piece of paper and tear it, and she burst out in giggles, belly laughs. Just listening to that, seeing that brought me joy. Because that's one of those things. I defy anybody, even if you don't like kids, hearing a little baby belly laugh like that just puts a smile on your face. So joy is the other one. Now Joseph Campbell, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Joseph Campbell. Wonderful author and teacher. Joseph Campbell said this: find a place inside where there is joy, and the joy will burn out the pain. Find a place inside where there is joy, and the joy will burn out that pain. I love that. And it reminds me of when we're going through things in our lives that are traumatic or very serious and emotional, and we're feeling that pain, that angst. Find the place inside where there's joy and allow that joy to burn out that pain. Now the one rock I didn't bring in here, and I'm not even sure I have a rock that says this, hint, hint for my family when it's time to get Kathy a new rock. What's the one thing that weaves through all of these? One of you said it already, love. When you're listening to the still small voice, you're doing so from a place of love. Love for yourself, or acknowledgement that the voice is there, and love of the voice that is speaking to you. When you're looking at courage, having the courage to step forth and do something difficult, having the courage to ask for help, you're doing so from a place of love. When you believe in God, when you believe in yourself, you're doing so from a place of love. When you trust, when you place trust in someone, you trust them because you love them. You trust them because that love is there, and that's where that trust emanates from, is that state of love. And joy is love. Joy comes from a place of love. I love listening to the birds. I love the time we spend together on the porch in our retirement. I love listening to babies laugh. I love coming together with you. It's always a joy to come and be with you and have an opportunity to speak with you and share that fellowship. That brings me joy. And it comes from a place of love. So this week I'm going to give you a challenge. I'm going to encourage you this week to look at your glass, metaphorically of course. What are you carrying in your glass? Is it serving you? Is it bringing you joy? Is it from a state of love? Or is it something you've carried just because that's what I've always done? Don't you hate it? Why do you do that? At work I used to hate it. Well, why do we do it that way? I don't know, that we've always done it that way. What a lame excuse, I used to say. So ask yourself, why am I carrying what I'm carrying? Can I let it go? Can I pour it into the bowl and let it be done? And when you do that, think of those words. Listen to the still small voice. Have the courage to stop and ask for help when you need it. To step out. Maybe you're on your spiritual path and it's all of a sudden starting to take a fork to the left. Do I have the courage to follow that? Because it's an unknown territory. Believe. Do I believe if I follow that I'm going to be successful? And if I'm not, do I believe that it's okay if I'm not? Trust the process. And when you're on that path, when you're doing all of these things, do it with joy in your heart. Because everything along the way emanates from that place of love. So this week, ask yourself, what's in your glass? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Encore.
Yeah.
You want
I would love for India to sing another
That's
song.
pretty early. We're kind of early.
True.
Oh yeah, it is early. Let's get a couple of songs in here.
All right.
I'm going to sit over here and listen.
And sing.
Sounds good. All right. So,
You can do one of your ones that you wrote.
yeah.
Let's get some original India.
I know just what I didn't bring today. And didn't practice either. Okay, let me see what I can do. I just left my thoughts at the gate. The details of life can wait. On the sidewalk that I just left behind me for this path of green that is opening, unwinding. This place is a sanctuary, though it may seem ordinary. Candles burn bright within this sacred space I'm in, this place where I begin to breathe again. When I'm listening in to those chimes in the wind, and it follows wherever I go. On the train, on the bus, only one song flows. sidewalk that I just left behind me for this path of green that is opening, unwinding. This place is a sanctuary, though it may seem ordinary. Candles burn bright within this sacred space I'm in, this place where I begin to breathe again. When I'm listening in to those chimes in the wind, oh, 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 oh,
Oh, I like
Oh,
that.
love that.
That was the one I wanted you to sing.
all right. Well, I'm
Set
glad
the
I,
intention there.
I'm glad we read each other's mind like that.
Divine synchronicity.
Right.
All right, so then one more song here. Here's one about keeping our mind stayed on spirit. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on spirit. I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on spirit. I'm walking and talking with my mind stayed on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I'm singing and dancing with my mind stayed on spirit. I'm singing and dancing with my mind stayed on spirit. I'm singing and dancing with my mind stayed on spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for requesting the extra music.
Absolutely. This is